She won't go quietly, that's the problem. I'll fight till the end, because I believe that I have a role to fulfill.
Welcome to a documentary written, composed and narrated by Tarun Tapan Bhuyan. Princess Diana Frances Windsor, maidenly Lady Diana Frances Spencer, was born to Earl John Spencer of the Spencer family. The Spencer family was an earldom with their main cantonment at Anthorpe in northern Hamptonshire. Born on the 1st of July 1961 in Sandringham, she was the fourth child of John and Frances Spencer. She was named after Duchess Diana Spencer, born in the 1700s, who by relation was Diana's great-great-great-great-great-grand aunt. She was known as Dutch by her family. She had three siblings, Sarah, Jane and Charles Spencer. She spent her childhood at Park House, a chartered property granted by the Queen in Sandringham Estate. There, Diana met her future mother-in-law and her future brother-in-laws, Prince Edward and Andrew. In the springs of 1969, her parents divorced. It was only then that Diana moved to London. But after a tiresome custody battle, John Spencer won the Diana's education started at home, like many royal and aristocratic children. Diana was homeschooled by a governess, Gertrude Allen. Educated at Silfield Private School in Norfolk, after her parents divorced, she went to the prestigious Riddlesworth Hall. She was not the best academic, although her community skills were acknowledged early on, when she received an award for it. She was taught etiquette in Switzerland at Institut Alpin Vidamante. After she moved to London, where she lived in her mother's flat, she ran many jobs, which, in her own words, made her humble and filtered. She was an playgroup preschool assistant, a janitor, and a hostess, and most famously, a nanny for an American family. Diana met Prince Charles when he was dating her sister, Sarah. Although almost twice her age, he took interest in Diana. During the summer of 1980, he had fallen head over heels in love. She was invited to the royal cruise of Britannia. At Balmoral Castle, she met the Queen, Prince Philip, and the Queen Mother. She was courted by the Prince in London, and a year later, in 1981, he proposed to her. Diana's engagement ring is worth $3.5 million and is now worn by her daughter-in-law, Catherine, the Duchess of Cambridge. She shortly lived with the Queen Mum at Clarence House and then shifted to Buckingham Palace. She made an iconic ball gown appearance at Goldsmith Hall, where she is photographed with film icon Grace Kelly. On the 29th of July, she married Prince Charles at St. Paul's Cathedral. Her wedding garnered 750 million television and radio viewers, and a live audience of 600,000 people, a radio and television record untouched to this day. She wore an ivory silk taffeta, an antique lace gown. Designed by David and Elizabeth Emanuel, the dress became the most photographed item of clothing ever. She was celebrated across the nation, and the Queen gifted her with Queen Mary's Lover Knot tiara, made in 1913 by Garrett and Company. Diana, following her marriage, lived at Kensington Palace, a residence of the Prince of Wales. A few months later, Diana was pregnant with Prince William. Following her delivery, she went on publicity tours to New Zealand and Australia. She had Prince Harry on the 15th of September 1984. She also went on publicity tours. after that, and posthumously said on her Netflix original show, Diana, in her own words, as being the closest to Charles during her second pregnancy.
Anyway, Harry appeared by miracle. Charles and I, we were very, very close to January 6 weeks before Harry was born. Closest we've ever been and never will have been. And then suddenly, as Harry was born, it just went bang. Our marriage, the whole thing went down the drain.
She and Charles's slow separation was talked about and inevitable, brewing after Charles restarted his relationship with Camilla Parker Bowles, and a subsequent love affair of Diana's with James Hewitt. The media suggested that Harry was Hewitt's son due to their facial similarities. All of these rumors were made public by journalist Andrew Morton's best-selling biography, Diana, Her True Story, which sold 5 million copies worldwide. It was the biggest scandal ever faced by the crown since the abdication of Elizabeth's uncle. The media throughout the years had speculated multiple interests of hers and her love affairs with multiple men. In her famous interview, which she gave to the BBC, interviewed by Martin Bashir, she said,
Well, there were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded.
She also exhibited doubt about Charles's ability to hold the throne. It is widely believed that she was suffering from depression, bulimia nervosa, an eating disorder, and regularly engaged in self-harm. On December 20th, the Queen sent letters to Diana and Charles advising them to divorce. In July 1996, they agreed on the terms and conditions of the divorce. Her divorce was concluded on the 29th of August 1996. She received a lump sum of $23.5 million, almost $40 million in today's money in hard and pure cash, and a lifetime salary of $554,000. Following her divorce bash with Charles, Diana had won the heart of an entire nation. After rumors circulated that she might have been banished from her title, Britain named her the People's Princess. She was the most photographed woman in the world. Where she went, there was a mini Met Gala set up.
Everybody always said when we were in the car, oh, we're on the wrong side. We want to see her, we don't want to see him. And that's all we could hear as we went down these crowds.
Even after her divorce with Charles, she was living just as lavishly as before. She acquired Kensington Palace's 2 apartments. She was also a patron of 100+ charities on over 5 continents, giving her a major income. She moved away from the spotlight and started a subsequent romantic relationship with Dodi Fayed. She was going to get married in France. She arrived with her boyfriend in a yacht after a tour of the Mediterranean in Paris. She was constantly making it on tabloids back in the UK, and paparazzi capturing her every blink. She was pictured constantly and harassed by paparazzi. She, along with her boyfriend, checked in at the Ritz Hotel.
Going to make their way up to the floor, the Imperial Suite floor. They'll get into the lift.
And her butler acquaintances and driver were placed at a lesser expensive hotel. She checked out of the Ritz for a much more expensive and valuable apartment in the iconic neighborhood of Champs-Élysées. On her priority buyers, she is driven at night to her new apartment by the head of security of the Ritz, Henry Paul. The car violently crashes, and Henry and Dodi are killed immediately. Diana, along with her bodyguard Trevor, are taken to the hospital. At the brink of morning, people are woken up to Diana's death by the information of newspapers and magazine articles. The world is shocked with lamentation. Hundreds of thousands of people gather outside of Kensington Palace. A short statement is hung outside Buckingham Palace that reads, "The Queen and the Prince of Wales are deeply shocked and distressed by the terrible news." Tony Blair famously names her the People's Princess.
The people everywhere, not just here in Britain, everywhere, They kept faith with Princess Diana. They liked her, they loved her. They regarded her as one of the people. She was the people's princess.
Henry's blood tests proved that he was 3 times over the drinking limit in France, which made him severely drunk and not safe for driving. With this, the judge accused Henry for the death, not the paparazzi. Tens of millions of people watched via television as her body landed in a coffin via plane. Her body was put on display before her formal funeral in Westminster Abbey on the 6th of September, and before she went to Westminster Abbey, her coffin passed through Buckingham Palace. All living prime ministers, along with the royal family, laid wreaths of flowers on her coffin. Her funeral was attended by many dignitaries, heads of state, and her friends like Elton John, who sang the well-known song Candle in the Wind.
Goodbye, England's rose. May you ever grow in our hearts. You are the grace that placed yourselves where lives were torn apart. You called out to our country, and you whispered to those in pain. Now you belong to heaven, and the stars spell out your name.
Diana became one of the most influential figures in fashion, history, pop culture.
That she was also extremely regal. It wasn't just that she was tall, or just that she had aristocratic bearing, which of course she did, but there was also
journalism.
We have reports from Paris that Diana, Princess of Wales, has been killed in a car accident.
She was a woman, a mother, and the people's princess. Her legacy continues, having no time to stop. She continues to affect the world through her past blueprints. Today, the aura remained undiminished, and as Robert Hemingway said, God save Diana, or nobody else in the world.
But I think the biggest disease this world suffers from in this day and age is the disease of people feeling unloved. And I know that I can give love